We are go for liftoff in T minus 30.
Hit the record button.
Gosh, that's swell.
So welcome to another episode of Italo's Black Tag Radio. This is Italo, and I'm very excited. That is 2022, number 2, part 2 of 2020. However you want to take it, the numbers 222 must mean something. I don't know what it means in angel numbers, but anyhow, I'm here with my first guest of the year. And he's coming all the way from, I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, Thailand.
Thailand, okay. That's what I thought. But yeah, so let them hear your voice, introduce yourself, let them know what you're up to, what's going on with you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, by the way. And you can probably tell by my accent that I'm from the US. But yeah, I've been living out here in Thailand. I got, in a sense, quote unquote, stuck out here originally due to the global situation, and now decided to just ride it out here for a while. I live on a small island in Thailand, so there's no airport on this island. It is quite busy again now, just because of tourism has opened up a bit here again. But yeah, it's been a nice place to be in this time, in this world, to just, yeah, I've been really grateful for that. And yeah, so I you reached out to me because you heard me speak on another show, and there's some things, some topics you want to cover, and those topics, which I'll let you introduce, but they just fell into my lap. It's not anything I was seeking or trying to create or had an idea around. It's just where life led me, and then those experiences have led me to now share those experiences. So that's why I'm here. Again, thanks for having me to share my stories.
Yeah, for sure. So the show that you're talking about is called The Spiritual Shed. For those that don't know, it was actually a pretty good show. I was actually looking for something related, yet not. It was about star seeds, and she has one of those done in her episodes. I haven't heard that one yet. But for some reason, something told me, listen to this one first. And it's one of those things where you're like, why am I gonna listen about dreams? And so your episode came about, and I started listening, and all of a sudden, I was getting so many epiphanies, right? Because I believe the same things that we get tapped in our dreams through entities, whether they're angels, whether they're past people that have passed on, but you have a different version of that, or a different terminology, which I never heard of that before. If you can explain what I mean, because it's interesting to hear.
Okay, I'm as far as the terminology, I guess I'd have to re-listen to what I said in that show. I'm not really sure it's specifically what I may have said, but in dreams, and I guess a little bit more of an introduction. I've been called a Dreamtime coach. I have worked as a Dreamtime coach. Only recently, I'm just taking a pause on that, but it is something I do. So people come to me for dreams. I created an online course, but I'm not promoting that at this time. It's not available at the moment. But just so you know, as far as me speaking on dreams, anyone that's listening now, yes, I'm a Dreamtime coach. I've got a course on dreams. I talk on dreams on podcasts, and I also talk on other topics, just spirituality, ETs, and we can get into any and all of that. With dreams, though, yeah, you can have contact, or let's just say, I'll just put it into 2 general categories of dreams. Got your standard dream, which I'll just call your standard dream, and that's your subconscious mind, which is showing up as symbolic imagery for you to decode. And then we've got our dreams where, well, I'll just say dreams, but what I like to call astral experiences. Astral being a catch-all phrase. If you're not familiar with that, you can Google that one. But astral, in short, is just kind of a catch-all phrase for the non-physical realm. Multiple dimensions. A lot of you have probably heard of different dimensions. Astral is kind of a catch-all. You can get more technical and break it down, but astral meaning that. And what I say, dreams versus astral experience, meaning those dreams that you have, which so many people have come to me and said when they share a quote unquote dream and say, but it just felt so real, more real than other dreams. Right. Those experiences are usually actually, again in quotes, real experiences, where you might be meeting with a past loved one, like you touched on, like, or a friend, someone you know that's passed away, or it could even be someone that's still here on earth today that you know, but you actually meet in the dream space. And maybe only one of you will remember that experience, but sometimes both people can remember. It is possible, and that has happened to verify that those experiences are real. So there we go, subconscious dreams, and then actual experiences we're experiencing in our energy body in the astral or non-physical realm.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think you could also call them lucid dreams and vivid dreams, or I call them vivid dreams. And I've had quite a few. I always remember my dreams, and I never paid attention to what they meant until I wouldn't say recently, because I've been doing it on and off. I always, because I dream about fantastical things like dragons, or becoming a horse, or flying, stuff like that. But specifically, there were dreams that came to my life in certain times where I needed guidance. And like you said, it could have been myself, my subconscious, telling me this is what is going to happen. Or like, for instance, I had a dream where, because my mother and I have a really toxic relationship, and there was a dream where we were entering this, my mother and I were entering this utopia city. It was a really nice city, glass, dark glass everywhere. It was really modern. And, we got off, and it was really nice, and it was really a new place, right? However, like sort of like the Matrix movie, we started seeing people following us, noticing that we were not from there. And so they started chasing into the corridors. We went inside the buildings, and I was trying to grab my mom and keep up with me. Then there will be people questioning us, like, where are you from? Where are you trying to go? So I was trying to like play cool, like we're not really being, chasing, but trying to get out of this place. For some reason, it was not a secure place or safe place. And then there was a train. So we were racing to get to the train to get out of this city. And funny enough, I had a pass for the train. So I tap on the, how you tap on the metro, and it was green for me. But then I realized, oh shit, my mom is behind me. So I turned around, and I was like, could I either get on the train or stay behind, because my mother cannot, and I think I woke up at that point. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is this? What did that mean? I couldn't come up with that. Or could I come up with that? Because there was an
aspect of you didn't create that for yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes it's me, and sometimes it's like, this is totally bunkers. I couldn't have come up with this story, even if I tried. You know what I mean? So yeah. So those are things, and the meaning came later. It meant that I had to let go. You know what I mean? Like, but the meaning didn't make sense at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it certainly does. So it was like a premonition kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was having the same interpretation as you were sharing it. But of course, even if I were to share my interpretation of it prior to, I would always
Sorry,
say,
I already told you the story.
yeah, I would always say if this were my dream, because even though I might have my own perception of someone else's dream, like your dream, it may not necessarily be what it is for you. So, yeah, letting go. And you mentioned, I think, where this dream came from. Is it something you created, or did it come from elsewhere? Where does this dream come from? A spirit guide, a source, God, a universe, ETs? Who knows where it came from? But what I found is that the messenger doesn't matter. It's just the content of the dream, and can you learn something from it? And so where it came from really doesn't matter. So we don't have to get stuck on that. It can be fun to know if you do have some sense of where it came from, just for fun. But yeah, it's really the content of the dream and the message you get from it. And that's really my passion on sharing and speaking on dreams, is that your dreams are a transformational tool. So everyone that's listening here, like every one of us are born with this gift of dreaming. But in our modern culture, we've lost touch with it. It's there's still indigenous and tribal cultures that still use dreams as a tool for themselves and for their communities. However, modern culture, we've lost it. But our dreams are like a cheat sheet for life. So every day when we sleep, we have access to this cheat sheet, this guide. Any challenges we're having, mental, emotional blocks that might be blocking us from creating the things we want to create in life, or goals we want to accomplish, or states of being within ourselves that we want to work on to get to, situations that are practical situations in our life. Anything that's present is going to show up in the dream. So we're getting all the guidance we need to help with the challenges we have and to help move forward into those goals we want to move into and to embody what we want to embody within who we are as a person. It's all there. And then also encouragement. I think you mentioned encouragement earlier. Like you might be going through a tough time, but your dreams, as you start working with your dreams, you'll start to remember them more. And you'll see you're getting dreams all the time that are encouraging you to keep going and giving you just little clues along the way, little breadcrumbs. So that's my passion there. I encourage everyone that's listening to this, if you don't already keep a dream journal, get a journal. Doesn't matter what it is, just any journal, but a separate one from your maybe normal journal. If you have one you keep from day to day, a separate one just for dreams. So you keep that by your bed. By having it by your bed, that's giving you a physical trigger, a physical object that you're going to see when you go to bed and when you wake up, to get you in the habit of remembering your dreams and writing your dreams. Just having that journal alone and then starting to write will start to bring, you'll just see the whole world of dreams will open up. It's like whatever the source of dreams is sees that you're paying attention now, and you'll start to become like a dream worker in a sense. I like to use that word sometimes, a dream worker. And you'll see that it's something that you can integrate into your life. The same as you wake up, you brush your teeth, you wake up, you make note of your dreams, see what your message is for the day, see what that is, and write it down somewhere. You're going to see it throughout the day. And likely it's not a message just for that day. It's a message that you need to work with and integrate into your life and work to create new habits. So write that down somewhere. You're going to see it every day, even multiple times a day if you can. I'm kind of going on a rant right now, but even put it on your phone. And most phones have a reminder app built in. Just create it as a reminder, whatever that message is you get from your dream, whatever that lesson is, that encouragement, whatever it is, put it in your phone as a reminder and set it to repeat every day at whatever time you want. And then each day when that pops up, take a moment to connect to that dream, to that message, and feel that message in your body, whatever it is. And that is now taking this wisdom that you're gaining each night and from this mystical realm and applying it to physical reality for real practical change. So get that for now.
Yeah. No, I love your rants.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. Because I do the same thing. I tend to share so much with people that don't understand. And it's frustrating sometimes when it may or may not be frustrating. Like for me, sometimes oversharing is a good thing for me, but I turn to lately I've been seeing signs where I'm not supposed to be doing that because some people might deem me crazy or might deem me weird or okay, that's just like I'm trying to connect with people or who else is gonna relate to what I'm saying. But I think most people can ease their way into this through the dreams because everybody's dreaming. Everybody has dreams. or has nightmares or has some sort of, you know what I mean? It's not so far-fetched to say, hey, do you have dreams? That's all it is, right? But then from there to, you know, is it real? Is it real? That's the okay. That's
Yeah.
the part where everybody's like, I don't know about that. I was like that too, to be honest with you. You know, I was always hesitant to believe that there's aliens or but there's also spirits and there's also ghosts and there's also, you know what I mean? Like, you can name it whatever you want, like you said. Does it have to be right? Am I going somewhere?
Yeah, and I've experienced all that. And going back to what you said a minute ago is like, you know, we might have these experiences, certain dreams, or just certain spirit experiences, even in a waking life. But you share with some people, they might just think you're crazy or weird in some way. And like you said, also connecting with people that are on the same wavelength that you can share this stuff with. And that's why we have these conversations like this on your podcast and with other people is so for one, we can share our stories and let others know that maybe experiencing things, but don't have people around like us to talk to. They're like, oh, okay, I'm not alone. This is reassuring. I get these messages all the time. Like, thank you for sharing this. I've had these experiences too, but I have no one to talk to. So anyone that's listening, you're not weird, you're not strange. Keep moving forward, and trust yourself and trust the guidance that's coming through. And of course, all guidance is only going to be self-empowering. It's never going to put your power outside of you. So that's one way to discern, is this information really helpful? And I'd say 90% of the time, 99% of the time, it's going to be something that's helpful. Some people do have some fears of contacting spirits that maybe don't have their best interests at heart. For one, they can't hurt you. They cannot hurt you. And two, you can set boundaries for yourself. And so if you connect with spirit guides, whether you have a dialogue with them or not, or it's just something that you're drawn to and you feel like you do have some sort of unseen support there, which we do all have, you can set the intention. And I like to say this in the beginning as an invitation, but a clear invitation. Loving, supportive spirit guides. So I say that in the beginning. Loving, supportive spirit guides. I welcome you to work more directly with me. Loving, supportive spirit guides. I'd love for your support in my dreams. Whatever you want to say, but that's just putting a clear intention of who you're contacting versus just picking up your phone and dialing a random number and hoping you get someone that's friendly. So that's just a clear intention. And that intention alone, that's powerful. That is your phone system. That is your telepathy. And we are way more powerful and have these abilities that we just are not taught to believe that we can. But the more you start to work with this and practice this and connect inwardly, listen inwardly, listen to your dreams, notice the things around you, synchronicities that happen, like 222 numbers that show up. The more you just start to pay attention to life, you realize that life is just always communicating to us. And I know, Italia, you know this as well.
Right. Now, what do you say to those people who are listening, who might believe or might think, because I grew up Catholic myself, and then you have, the doctrine is to not believe anything doesn't go with that religion or that, your church or whatever, your cult. But what do you say to those people who are still trapped in that and they don't want to explore for fear that this is going to veer them away from their spiritual path that they have, or whoever thinks of heaven, whoever thinks of hell, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you say to those people that are in doubt because of what they've been taught as children or as forever? And because I myself have to kind of separate myself from church to realize these things are not so far-fetched and not so crazy. And yeah,
it's a good one to bring up. So it's like I haven't read the full Bible, but I've read parts of it, and I didn't grow up religious, but I do connect with it, and spirituality in general, but also I know that I've heard stories, excerpts, and of course I've heard plenty of Jesus's messages because they're so prevalent and I really resonate with them. But what I've heard is that he was actually pointing us really inwardly to that we have this power within us. And then I know some people, some of us may not have been taught that, but it's really kind of moving from just belief, which belief is beautiful. It keeps it, it gives us hope and faith and keeps us moving forward and gives us morals to live by, but also experience. We have the power to experience these things by listening inward and learning to not just read what we read in books. I'm not just referring to the Bible, but any books out there in the world. We're so conditioned to look outside of ourselves for answers, to look towards experts because experts know, but those experts had to tap into that wisdom somewhere within themselves. Originally, the books didn't just magically appear. Someone created that. Someone wrote these things that we read and study and learn and live by. And we have that same access within ourselves to access this information. It's just we're not taught that we can. And really this comes to maybe practicing meditation, just learning to just sit and listen inwardly and to listen to our intuition. You don't have to meditate for a long time at all, but just learning to, even without meditation, to just listen to ourselves in any decision you want to make. Oh, do I want to do this or that? It's just, there's a subtle feeling. Some things may be obvious, but some things may not. I need to make a bigger decision in life. Let me trust. What was my initial feeling? That's intuition. So it's really just learning to listen to our intuition. And then from there, the reason I'm sharing this is that then as we hear new information that may contradict what we've learned to believe so far, does this resonate with me or does it not? Does it resonate as something that might have some truth to it or have something that I can gain from it or not? And just take what you like and leave what you don't like. It's specifically with connecting with spirit guides or ETs. Let's just say ETs in general, actually, not ETs in general, but ETs, extraterrestrials, beings that are not from Earth. I've heard that the Pope actually has spoken about them, and I don't know what he said specifically, but that they know that they exist and they have an observatory, like a Vatican observatory. I don't know if you've heard that before.
I'm sure the church, the Vatican has so many secrets. I'm quite sure they have a lot. Yeah,
they've got a huge underground library. I forget, only the press can only access a certain amount. There's so much shut off, but they know.
I've seen the Da Vinci Code, so I don't know.
Exactly, they do know a lot, but yes. In short, though,
and I've been to the Vatican myself. Sorry to interrupt you, but I've been there before, and there's a certain energy there that I felt. Yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
I know exactly what you're saying. So also outside of the Vatican, I've only seen pictures and videos, but there's the pine cone. And like the Vatican, the Pope has a staff. I don't know if he carries it all the time, but he has a staff with the pine cone on it. There's a giant statue of a pine cone in front of the Vatican.
Is that a snake, right?
What's that?
Is that a snake?
It's an actual pine cone.
It's a pine cone. Okay.
Yeah, pine cone statue. Maybe there's also a snake, but there's a pine cone. And the pine cone represents the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the gland in the brain, which is connected, which is the gland that's responsible for our third eye, our intuition. And so here is now a church with this symbol outside of it, which is actually representing the third eye and intuition. But that's not really taught in church so much. I'm not sure why, but it's not. And
right.
But we do have that power to just really, it's more of an intention of listening inward, and you practice that through making decisions and listening inward and just trusting yourself. The more you trust yourself, the stronger that feeling of your intuition will get. It's what's called developing or strengthening your intuition. So I'll jump over to ETs as far as if you have.
Let's do it because we're just teaching you guys.
And specifically connected to the Bible. If you've brought up with certain beliefs.
Yeah. Okay.
I have had some people with strong religious beliefs that have said, you shouldn't contact them. They're lying to you. They're all the demons. That all ETs are demons. That means that any life outside of us on Earth are demons. Now, if you look at how many habitable planets, I forget the number. It's a ridiculous number of habitable planets, meaning planets like Earth that are at the right distance from the sun, that have the conditions that have been verified by NASA to be what they call habitable planets. The number that they've found that we know about, which there's even more we don't know about. What we know about the number is insane. It's an insane number. And to think that there's no other life out there or that all the life on these planets are all demons. It's when you start to use critical thinking, and this is where I'm going to intuition, tune in. How does that feel to you? Does it feel right that everything out there is demons? Or might there be other life like us that's just living their life there and looking back at the stars in our direction, wondering if there's people out there like we wonder. So for myself, the reason I speak on this topic is I didn't know that I'd start talking about ETs, but I had so many experiences happen in my life that I naturally have to share them. And specifically, I received specific guidance to share them. And so I guess I have to keep going now.
Yes, I'm just listening. I'm listening, so go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep going then. So how it happened to me, I'm always a believer in paranormal, extraterrestrial. Always watched, like, the first movie I saw in a theater was actually E.T., the Extraterrestrial, 1982.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I was 2 years old. And so I always believed. And then, let's see, I saw some documentaries. Later in life, I saw documentaries about ancient cultures and their connection to star people, cultures literally all around the world, every culture. Native Americans, all the different Native American tribes spoke of the Pleiadians from the Pleiades star system. If you know about stars, it looks like a tiny, tiny dipper. It's not a dipper, but that's the Pleiades star system. Native American tribes say that they are star seeds. That's where the term comes from. Star seeds, that they actually come from the Pleiades and were planted here like seeds.
Yeah.
The purpose of bringing light and transformation to Earth. And let's see, the Dogon tribe of Africa, they speak of the people that visited from the Sirius star system, also called the dog star. It's the brightest star in our sky. Let's see, in Australia, Aboriginals, they also talk about visitors. South America, Middle East, literally every culture. If you look at it, there's countries.
My family is from Peru, so I grew up in Peru, and I know for a fact that they believe in aliens or extraterrestrials because they have I don't know if you've seen it, Machu Picchu. Everybody has heard of Machu Picchu, but also the pyramids, and also the lines, Nazca lines. Yes.
Yeah.
And I've seen it, with my own eyes. I've been in that plane, going around it and seeing all the different. The spider, and then they have the whale, and they have the astronaut, and they have different things. And I'm like, how do they know about astronauts? With the whole helmet thing. And I'm like,
right. And these drawings of these like animals and the astronaut in this kind of deserty type mountain area I've never seen them with my own eyes. I've seen them in documentaries, and also I've gone to Google Earth myself and found them, but they're massive.
Yeah.
So to be however old they are, before there was technology to see from the sky, before they didn't have planes themselves or helicopters, to be able to hover and communicate with the people on the ground and tell them, okay, 3 steps to the left, keep going forward. These shapes and these characters are drawn out so perfectly. And the astronaut, like I said, on the side of the mountain, that one's on the side of the mountain itself, carved on the mountain, massive. And I don't know if it has a hand up, but it looks peculiar.
I forgot the shape, but when I saw it, I was like, that's definitely an astronaut.
I love, so anyone that's new to this topic and like interested to check it out, I encourage you to like look up, like type in ancient aliens online. The History Channel, they did I think they're at like episode 16 maybe. It's because it's quite popular. And there's other documentaries out there. You can even find some on the streaming channels, but they will show you artifacts from ancient cultures around the world that are clearly something from off-world. And they all have the same stories. Visitors that came from the skies and taught them things. But not only that, they speak of specific star systems they came from. 2 of the most popular ones, Pleiades, as mentioned, and Sirius, which I mentioned. And the Dogon in Africa, for example, they said their visitors came from Sirius B. What that means is Sirius is a star. It's the brightest one we can see. But Sirius B is it's a smaller star next to it in the same orbit. So it's called what's called a binary, actually a triple star system. But you can't see Sirius B and C with your own eyes. You have to have a high-powered telescope. High-powered telescope wasn't invented until way in the future. After the Dogon knew about Sirius B before telescopes were invented. And they knew what the composition of that star was. They knew that it was a white dwarf star. NASA later confirmed, how do these people know this? It is that we confirm now with our high-powered telescopes, it's a white dwarf. It's as they describe it. There's so many stories out there that just show you that, okay, absolutely, there's no coincidence that all these cultures talk about this.
Yeah, and I mean, I have my own reservations with NASA, to be honest. But
yep. That's not the best.
You know where I'm gonna go with that. But
okay, NASA. Have you heard this? NASA, NASA, yeah. Never a straight answer.
Yes. and I have this theory. I only have like 5 minutes, so we're gonna have a part 1 and start part 2. But I have a feeling they do that on purpose. I think they know more, like you said, they know more than we're led to believe. Of course, they probably have seen the ships, and they've seen or they've been visited by the aliens. I don't know. They probably know about Area 51, or they're still talking to them, or they have a whole civilization, or they're still among us. They know more, but they purposely have you believe that some things in the 60s didn't really happen. So the whole, landing, that's why they create conspiracy theories, and they tell you, oh, that's another conspiracy. That's another conspiracy theory. Don't believe that. That's a theory. That's another theory, and stuff like that. But their theories are also far-fetched too. So I'm like, woo, not a straight answer there. So yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, but there's been astronauts that have actually come out and shared. Like even Buzz Aldrin is on multiple news clips talking about monoliths that they saw, monoliths that there are on Mars and Jupiter's moons, monoliths that are, let's see, yeah, in one of those news clips, he says, what are people going to say when they see that there's a monolith on Jupiter's moons and on Mars? They're going to wonder who put those there. This is Buzz Aldrin on TV. So there's been actual NASA astronauts that have actually blown the whistleblowers.
Right.
Said, yes, we were told not to go back to the moon.
Right.
I don't know if anything's changed since then, but that was what they said back then. There was
already say, we don't have the technology anymore. It's like, wait a minute. We're always advancing. We're not regressing. How can it be that we don't have the technology to go to the moon or go whatever that we had in the 60s? Doesn't make any sense at all.
So many whistleblowers, people that have been ex-military, ex-government, ex-NASA, that have come out and shared so much. And these people aren't, maybe sure some of them might write books of it, but that's just not the reason they're sharing it. They're sharing it because they want to share this information. And they write books because they want to document their story. So I don't hate on them for, promoting a book when they're doing a talk. That's okay. I mean, we're just sharing information. Most humans have good conscience that they're not going to just make up these wild stories just to sell a book. It's a lot of work to do that. So yeah, really a lot of credible people out there, and pilots and ex-military and government, that share really, really unbelievable stories.
Right. Well, we're gonna cut it right now because we have a couple minutes only, and so we can start part 2. Because I want to get into the talk about about how do you meet aliens? How was that? Or I wouldn't say aliens. They get offended by that word, don't they? They don't like the word aliens.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. Yeah, I do usually use extraterrestrial because aliens has a bad connotation here on Earth.
Right.
But, illegal aliens, the whole thing. It's like we shouldn't even use that.
Exactly. And then they think about the movie and the alien movies. Yeah.
Alien invasion.
They don't like to be represented like that. Okay, so we're gonna cut it off.
Yeah.
they don't burst out of your chest or whatever. They're not that evil. All right, We're gonna take a little cut here.
It's a Lowe's Blog Talk Radio.
I'm gonna start recording before we. Here we go.
Going.
I'll mute it. You can hear me, right?
I hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, part two, guys. So yeah, let me just get to the meat of the conversation. What was your first interaction with extraterrestrial life? What was the point that you said, am I dreaming this?
Yeah. So like I said, I was always a believer, and then first UFO I saw was when I was 10 years old. I was visiting Maine. So I saw that with a buddy. We thought it was a satellite at first. 10 years old, I'd already, I was so into astronomy and everything. So I knew a satellite when I saw one. And at first, of course, I assumed it was a satellite because it was up quite high, just moving across the sky. And then, as if it knew we were looking at it, which usually they do, they always do actually, it started to jump around the sky, like make right angle turns and jump through the sky and just do all kinds of crazy maneuver over large distances of sky. And again, sharp start, stop on the dime. And the reason a lot of people report these types of events, or even capture them on camera sometimes, the reason they fly like that, no one in their right mind is going to fly like that. We don't drive cars like that or fly planes or helicopters like that. Well, they don't even work like that. But if they could, the reason they're doing that is to let the person that's seeing it, people that are seeing it, that you're seeing something else. You're seeing something from beyond. Now, why would they want you to see it? Because they're helping us to expand our minds, really, to expand our minds, to expand our consciousness, to start to reach and see that there is more to life than what's presented here on Earth. Because we're born into quite a little box, a container. It tells us to shut off our imagination. You shouldn't talk to your imaginary friends, and that stuff's for kids, and calculate numbers and just follow the system. But there is so much more to life, and that is why they're showing up for you, and whether it's in your dreams or your waking experience, to just expand your mind. So that happened when I was 10 years old. Then it was when I was in 2011. So 10 years old, that was 1990. 2011 was when I had my first encounters again, or next encounters again, and those were in my dreams. So in 2011, I started having dreams where I was meeting with, I'll just say, beings that were not human. And I would see the same beings sometimes reoccurring, and different types of species of these beings, friendly extraterrestrial beings. And then I'd be on spacecrafts. Now, again, so far, this is all happening in my dreams. But these are those dreams, as I mentioned, that seem so real. There's nothing melting, nothing out of the ordinary, other than, sure, I'm in front of someone that's not human, but it's very normal as us just sitting here talking. That's what those experiences are like, where they're just teaching and sharing information. And again, I've been on the ships in the dreams. So that's 2011. Now, 2011, I shared a story on the Spiritual Ship podcast, which is such a big story. But in 2011, after those dreams, I did, in my waking state, get sent a telepathic message that I needed to go to Australia. And at this point, I had had some pretty wild spiritual experiences and mystical experiences, you can call them that I felt that my guide said, okay, he's ready for this. I already had been introduced to this world. So I went to Australia, and that was a whole mission. I know in some religions they go on missions. Mm-hmm. This is me not following a religion, but being sent a mission from spirit guides, which were extraterrestrial. And that was just, I had to go to specific points. In short, the short of the story is I was sent to specific locations in Australia to, this goes out there, but to charge, there's a grid of energy put around the earth. It's here to just support, again, the awakening and expanding of minds and consciousness and hearts, because earth has been in turmoil for a long time. So this energy is put there by extraterrestrial beings many, many hundreds of thousands or so years ago. I don't know when it was put there, but it needed some charging. Pyramids around the planet helped to charge this grid, but they were also sending people to specific locations to meditate in specific spots and to create a pillar of light. So I know I've took that really far out there for a lot of people, but that happened. But let me just keep going to how I've been able to verify that my experiences are real. Because that one is way, way out there. And it's hard to grasp for a lot of us, I know, if you haven't been introduced to this. But, you know, you read stories in the Bible where, you know, people got messages or they were sent to places. And like these types of stories that were in the Bible, they still happen to people today. And there's books out there, people write them. We may not have ever read them or come across them, heard of them. But I'm just one of those, of many, countless people out there that have had these experiences. I was holding my stories in for so long because I was reluctant to share because I didn't know how people would respond. But there's been many brave people before me, which gave me the encouragement to start sharing, along with the guidance that I need to share these stories. So that was 2011, the dreams and this experience to go to Australia. And by this point, I hadn't seen them since I was 10 years old. Now, 2014, I moved to Hawaii, Kauai, Hawaii, specifically a small island. And at my house there, one night, myself and 3 other friends get out of the car, park at our house, roommates. And without speaking, a lot of people have this experience when they just step out and they look exactly at this object, not knowing that there was something there, but it's as if there was some invisible finger poking you on the shoulder to say, hey, look over here. We all get out of the car, no speaking. We all just look directly at this glowing white orb of light flying in the sky really slowly, slower than a plane, no sound at all, no blinking lights, no form other than a circle. You couldn't see any form within that. And it flew directly over us, only about 100 feet up, which is close enough to see, you know, is there some structure in there? We couldn't see, just a ball of quiet light. Some people have called it plasma light. I'm not too informed on plasma, but it's like plasma energy. Again, flew over us silently, quietly, and then we just watched it. That was what I later learned was what I like to call star family. I didn't make up this term. It's just a nice word to say we have this loving support from other beings. And they showed up as a little wink, a little introduction to say, hey, we're going to start working with you soon. So here's a little hello. Mm-hmm. And let's have some friends with you. So for one, you're not frightened by this experience. And 2, you have other people, that other eyes, not just yourself. So more people will believe your story knowing that there's other people there. That was 2014. Fast forward 2018, at the same house. I stayed in the same house for 5 years. The same house. There were 2 more visits to the house, to myself and then one of my other roommates. And again, we stepped outside of the house and we were walking to the car to go get some dinner at night. But again, without speaking, like the time 2014, 4 years prior, we just turned and looked back towards the house, above the house, about 100 feet back, and again, about 100 feet up, about the same as 2014, the same ball of light. Mm. It's not just a ball. I mean, it's probably like the size of an average house, but it's up. It was big. You know, some sort of spacecraft is what I understand that it is. So that happened, and we just watched it. And this time it wasn't flying by. It hovered and hung out. It hovered and hung out. And then it started to slowly do some movements to show, like just sideways, back and forth movements, to show again, to confirm to your human brain, you're seeing something that doesn't exist on Earth, something that's not created by humans. And so that happened. And then another time at the same house, and then at a beach in Hawaii, another visit. And I call these visits because they're coming. And then also at the same house, there were 2 additional visits, which makes a total of 5 visits to this house. But the 2 of them, I was there for 3 of them. 2 of them, I was not there for. I was home, I sleep, but there was roommates, 2 separate individual roommates, 2 separate incidences. 2 other roommates also had the same visits, but with different crafts. For some reason that I'm not connected to, but they're connected to. The crafts that showed up for me are show up as spheres of light. The crafts that showed up for them were triangles with lights.
Okay.
Again, 2 separate roommates, 2 separate instances at the same house. So that's 5 visits to the same house. All the roommates prior to that hadn't had these experiences, but living there with me for years and sharing my connection to them. And then that 2014 incident, that just really opened everyone up to have these experiences. I guess a lot of times, most of us have connections to other places, like other, star family. A lot of us have this. A lot of us might feel a connection to a certain star system or certain species of beings you heard of, but they don't want to frighten us. They don't want to evoke fear. So maybe you're someone out there that is actually really excited to have an experience like this, but if there's fear, they're not as likely to show up. It's not a given for sure, but they're usually not going to show up if they're going to generate fear within you. So something I like to give as an exercise, you can just visualize yourself, at home and where you feel safe, but just close your eyes and visualize yourself outside and seeing whatever spaceship, a glowing orb or light or some sort of craft hover in the sky, and just get comfortable with seeing that in a visualization. And that's a good practice. So these are physical encounters. Again, there's no drugs involved, no alcohol.
Yeah.
This is complete pure consciousness. Now, I forgot an important piece of the story was after that incident in 2011 happened, where I got that telepathic communication sent to Australia. At this point, I hadn't seen them since I was 10, and it was far away. They were far away when I was 10, because my friend and I probably would have been quite scared, if it was close. And so I said, now I'd been seeing them in my dreams, as I mentioned before. I'm going back a little bit. But then one day, consciously, inwardly, I say, all right, Star Family, I know you're there. I know you're real. I've seen you in my dreams. I've seen all the ancient cultures. I know you're real. But I need to see you in my waking life to ground how real you are in my physical human brain and my human physical body. I need to see it like pure consciousness awake, so I can really feel how real you are. And that's when the 2014 incident happened, then 2018, and then since then, it's happened every year since, for a total now of eight physical encounters, visits.
Okay.
Twice here in Australia. I was in Australia. Twice here in Thailand. Yeah.
Okay.
And okay, so I had multiple visits, and one of the times they visited at the house, I was listening to the book Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Myciniak. She's a Pleiadian channel. She channels the Pleiadians, so they speak through her. And she's been doing that, I think, since the 70s, somewhere around there, a long time. So she wrote a book called Bringers of the Dawn, which talks about a history of Earth and what's happened and what's going on. And the stories in that book were so crazy, they're hard to believe, because we got our history books, which tell us, the story of the person who won, his story.
Well, who were they reading by? Yeah.
Yeah.
The history books were written by people that have been lying to us all the time. So
they're just the people that won the battles. And so whoever wins the battle gets to write his story.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So this stories in this book were so wild. And that was shortly after that they showed up again in 2018 in Hawaii. One of those experiences where I was reading this book, they show up to share to what I felt as a telepathic communication was that they were saying the reason they're showing up at this timing is to confirm that, yes, these crazy stories you're reading about in this book, they're real. And here we are to confirm it right here at your house. We're here. Yes, it's real. Keep trusting, keep moving forward. You're not crazy. Even though, time can go by after these experiences, it's easy to doubt these experiences. And that's why it's good to share them. I kind of just explode all that out and kind of lose track of where I'm going. But it went from belief to, of course, that experience in 10 years old, to dreams, which were very real, reoccurring, not dreams, but dream time encounters, to then asking for a visit in physical reality. And then that happening now, like I said, 8 times in total. And so that has given me enough information I know that we have support. And one of the experiences I had, which was in a dream, they showed up and I saw 6 of these glowing orbs, white glowing orbs over the horizon of the ocean. And this is again a dream, but it was in Hawaii. So I'm looking at these 6 ships. Later in that dream, the same dream, I ended up moving to a different country, which I had no intention to do. But in the dream, I moved to a different country. And now I'm in whatever country I was in that dream, which I didn't know at the time. I look over the horizon in this new country, the same 6 ships are there. And this time they spoke to me telepathically in the dream. And they said this quote, word for word: "It doesn't matter where you go. We're always here. You always have support." I like to share that because that applies to all of us. We all have support, unseen support. So they shared that. It was a year later when one of the other house experiences happened, where I saw it's the same ships from that experience that were showing up at the house, and I made the connection. And so they worked in both the dream realm and also physical reality. How that happens, it's quantum physics is beyond our understanding. I'll take a pause.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a lot of information, everyone. So I hope you're bearing with me.
No,
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm
Yeah.
listening. Do you hear an echo?
No, I don't. Do you?
Okay, not anymore. They fixed it.
Yeah.
No, I had experiences too in my waking life, so I haven't shared them publicly. But yeah, I've had experiences. They appear in my car. This particular time, I was upset because again, my mother was upset about she's dealing with her grief from her brothers. I mean, they're no longer here. But I was upset at them. And I told them. I was driving to work that day after my mom was crying that morning, and all these things were in my head. And I told them out loud, I'm like, "How dare you make my mom cry?" And suddenly, you know how there's always a song that reminds you of someone.
Mhm.
So the song that came on was from George Harrison, which I remember was the song that we always sit around in the 70s or 80s, listening to the Beatles. And I'm like, okay, that reminds me of them. And suddenly I didn't see them, I just felt them. They were in the backseat of my car. And I just got this emotion, this tickling. It was a sensation. It wasn't really visual. I don't know if it was because I was driving and I wasn't ready to receive that message. But the funny thing is that for the rest of the trip, I couldn't speak. I couldn't talk. And all the communication was through telepathically, you can say. I kept asking, what are you here, or what is the message, or I didn't even know what I was thinking. And all they told me is like, we're no longer suffering. And we are together because they're brothers. They died in different times. And so that was a message that was supposed to be delivered to my mother, but she wasn't ready when I gave her that. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When you think that message is for somebody, no, that message is for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that message was for me to understand that we don't really leave. The message was basically that they're together and they're in a different realm.
Life continues.
But they can communicate with you whenever they want to, whenever you allow them to. And that was the spirit world that I was talking about, which is not very far-fetched from extraterrestrials, or it could be angels, or it could be whatever you want, God. It could be the universe talking to you. Like, it doesn't matter. And that's what I was also thinking before the interview that we are having right now. It's like, who are the people to say that this doesn't exist? They haven't seen it. They haven't experienced it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because I experienced it and you experienced it and many more people have experienced it. So yeah, who's to say what is real and what is not?
Yeah, it's for each of us. And yeah, thanks for sharing your story for the first time publicly. And
yeah, I've shared it before, but the people that I've shared it with, it went like bloop. It went like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my words didn't reach. They just
Yeah. Well, it's a really beautiful story, and I've heard other similar stories like that where they're just kind of bringing reassurance to you that, hey, we're okay, and yes, life continues beyond here.
Yeah.
And like,
and I was totally awake. I was driving, so hey, you cannot tell me I wasn't driving to work that day. And so, and there's more like that. I've seen the light, the people with the Anyway, so there's more. If there's more time to talk about that, I'll talk about it later. But I've seen more things after that in waking life.
Okay.
Another thing that I noticed. I don't know how much time we have anymore, but yeah, there was a time where I was at work and I was so frustrated with working for that place, and I started listening to Marvin Gaye, "What's Going On" in my earbuds, and I was just tired, and I started circling the word Marvin Gaye, get me out of here. I don't know what I was saying inside, and suddenly I felt my body leave my body, or I left my body for a moment, but the experience was so intense that I couldn't take it the first time. But the second day, I was prepared, and that's when I didn't feel the roller coaster ride that put me on that stratosphere. So I was already there. It's like you already know how to travel. Second lesson is you're there if you want to. And when I was there the second time, I was surrounded by light beings, sort of like Cocoon. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
And then I felt that I was surrounded by light beings looking onto Earth. It was like I was floating.
Mm.
Beautiful. And I was still listening, and I remember I was listening to the song in my ear was still playing. So I'm like, I know the time doesn't exist because it was stretched out in that 3 minute, well, however long that song is. And I'm like, it couldn't have happened in 3 minutes. It felt like it was a long time. I'm like, I can't believe I'm still listening to the same song. And I was conscious. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Am I crazy? No. Maybe a little, but
In all the best ways. Yeah, I've heard a lot of these stories, where there's like lost time, but you have a whole experience, but then only a few minutes pass or even seconds sometimes. So I had that experience too, where only half a second had passed out in the physical world if you were watching me, but I had this whole experience outside of time. So yeah, it does happen, and definitely. And like you're saying, like you could feel the presence of these beings. You felt your family members. It's like when someone stands really close to you. Just as an example for everyone listening, when you can feel like you might you feel someone looking at you, but you don't usually consciously have that thought. You look and you realize it's an unconscious thing we do.
mm,
You can feel someone looking at you, or someone you don't know stands close to you. You can feel that, and it feels uncomfortable. So you want to step back, but they're not physically touching you. You feel that. It's because we all have an energy field, an energy body. When we leave the physical body, we still have our energy body. So if there's an energy body in your presence, you're going to feel it the same as a physical person standing next to you or looking at you. And then also with the visible light spectrum. So the visible light spectrum it's large scale. This is small version of it, but what we can see, what they call visible light, is only 0.0035% of known light.
mm.
We know this light exists because we have X-ray machines. We have machines that can pick up gamma ray, all the different types of light that exist. Infrared.
Right.
We have machines that can see this. We can see it through machines, but the human eye, 0.0035%. So there's so much that exists outside of our perception.
Yeah.
But through practice, like when I started studying energy healing, which was Reiki and shamanism, doing this type of work, as I started practicing that muscle of being able to listen and feel to subtle energies, and be able to put my hands over someone's body and now I can feel their chakras. I can feel something at their knee, and they confirm, I had a knee injury, or things like this. You start to feel the subtle energies. So this is something we can expand our perception. We can expand our visual perception too. Again, with the energy, we can start to see. There's some people that can see more colors than the average person. There's a rare number of those people, but they can see more light. And some people, you can see energy. As I worked with energy, I started to be able to perceive the layer of energy that's around our body.
Yeah,
And
I can't see that. I don't.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just an example. And another example, let's see, there's a famous story of a kid that, he was blind when he was 3 years old, and he taught himself to see with sound like bats. He developed on his own this clicking sound. I remember long years and years ago, he was on the Oprah show. That's where I first saw him. I've since now looked up videos of him. But yeah, he could see. They showed him riding his bike in his neighborhood, going around a trash can. He could just see like we can see with sound. And so the human hearing is usually, a small percentage. Dogs can hear more, and etc. But he developed his human hearing. He expanded that. So the point of sharing is that there's so much that exists outside of our normal range of perception, but it can be expanded, and we can perceive things and have those moments where we can feel presence and all that stuff. So
right.
Mhm.
Well, before I forget, because I always forget to promote your website, or how do people find more information as to how to tap into their own potential? Because all I'm hearing is tap into your own potential. I'm not hearing anything like follow my lead or anything like that. It's just follow your own potential. Because I've had, let me just tell you, I've had some people that have been on my show that I'm like, I don't know about this one. But because I don't see that you're, anyways, I'll keep my thoughts. I won't keep my thoughts to myself, because this is my channel. But I'm just saying that there's some people that always want, if you buy this book, I will tell you the secret. If you buy my, tutorial, then I will tell you this. And I don't see that here, which is great. But if there's people that want to go more in depth into your study, you said that you're not doing the course anymore, but
not doing the dream course right now. I'm taking a pause on it, but so I'm not really promoting anything at this time. But if you want to connect with me, I do from time to time. I use Instagram, so I do. If there's like some new ET news about extraterrestrials, like the U.S. government was recently releasing documents on that. Like, I'll share my thoughts on that, or if I have an experience, I'll share that. I share some inspirational posts. I just did one yesterday on, manifestation, law of attraction, and so I just do random, just spirituality and personal development stuff on my Instagram, and ET stuff and dream stuff. So you can just follow me on there, and that's @_soul_dreamers with an S. So _soul_dreamers, and you can just connect with me there. Let me know that you saw me here on this show, and stop by and say hi.
Yeah, and I'll put all the information below. So if you're listening on YouTube or whatever you are, or if you're in the future, 100 years from now, I don't know what's going to happen, but
we have another show talking about time travel.
Right? You might be 100 miles away out in space, or who knows, light years away. But no, it's good to connect. I'm sure that we'll connect again, because I want to be in that beach, man. The beach that you're talking about in your island, where all the minerals. I heard about that, and I'm like, man, I want to be there.
Yeah, this island is actually on a bed of crystals. So it's literally, you go hike, you go to the beach. Here's some right here from the beach. If these these are quartz crystals. It's a quartz crystal island. It's wild, man. But I want to share one quick note. I'll keep it short. One important piece I want to share, because
I don't have a time restraint. It's up to you, really.
Okay, all right. Because I like to share this important note, because I talked about my ET experiences, and what's the point of sharing them other than to help expand people's minds to what's possible and what exists. But there's a larger picture, and UFO sightings have been increasing exponential over the years. There's a network online called the MUFON Network, Mutual UFO Network. So people submit UFO sightings there, and their reports have been, again, exponential increasing over the years, more and more and more every year. And the reason this is happening, and then more and more coverage in the news, more and more, US government confirmed, yes, these videos are real. They don't know what they're from. They can fly up to 100,000 feet in 1 second, and fly back down in 1 second and stop, and then enter the water, and then disappear and reappear, and then hop to another location. Like, this is confirmed now by the US government. And so the reason these sightings are increasing and that more conversations, it's becoming more and more normal talk about this. It's becoming less taboo, especially now that it's being recognized by official sources. The reason this is all happening is leading up to what's called global open contact or open global contact. On Earth, we at one time were separated by continents. We didn't have a way to get to the other continents and do trade and meet other people. Now we have planes and we can just hop on a plane and be somewhere within a day. So now we've crossed that bridge. We're planning to go, Elon Musk is planning to hybridize, that's not the right word. Hybridize is a whole other thing. It's a whole other, we're planning to colonize, no, it's not even a good word, because we don't want to colonize. The reason why a lot of us are afraid of ETs or extraterrestrial visitors, aliens, is because of our history as humans. We colonize and conquer. We're like, oh no, I hope they're not like us. There's plenty of friendly ones out there. Okay, but staying on track.
Not a projection going on.
Yeah. That's it. So keeping myself on track a bit. The reason sightings are increasing, more coverage in the news, more official documentation happening now, is leading us to global open contact. That's now where there will one day be kids born on Earth that will have never known a world where we didn't have contact with other civilizations offside of Earth. We're telling stories like, yeah, there was one time we didn't have contact. Some people believed, a lot of people didn't believe, but now it's just a part of our life. So global open contact contact has already started through individuals. I've got contact, countless individuals around the world. Contact has already begun. So we can start sharing stories to start getting it in our consciousness that, okay, I'm getting more comfortable with this. I'm starting to hear it more. It's in the news more. Sightings are increasing. Oh no, I've seen one myself now. This is now making it become normal, so that we then collectively as a society become prepared enough, ready enough to even mentally be able to handle someone from outside of Earth coming here and landing and saying, hey, by the way, we're from the Pleiades. Nice to meet you. Yeah, here's some new plants that you can plant. I don't know, but that's what we're leading towards. That's why this is happening. That's why we're even having this conversation. I'm not promoting anything. Only thing I have to get out of this is that I want to help people expand their minds and ultimately leading to this global open contact, which will be an exciting time and is likely to happen in our lifetime, likely sooner than we might believe.
Great. Well, Tyrone, Tyrone. I've seen your name a few times. So yeah, if you want to share anything else, let me know. We have still five more minutes, or do you want to do a part 3? It's up to you.
If you have other questions for me, otherwise, what I would say is if you have any questions of anything we've covered in this, feel free to just send it to me in a direct message on Instagram.
Okay. So you've heard that here first. Well, not really, but for the second or third or fourth time, you've heard him already. So yeah, you know how to reach him. I'm gonna put all the information below. Soul Dreamers. Soul Dreamers, yes.
Yeah.
And I like the other dream too that you have with anyways, we can talk about dreams forever.
It's okay if you want. I'm good on time, so feel free to.
No, the dream that you had where you were in a pirate ship.
Oh yeah, should I share that one?
We only have 5. Yeah, if you can do it in under 5 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, I'll share this dream that Italio just brought up, and so in this dream, I was in a pirate ship. Well, it wasn't a pirates, but it was that kind of style. Big wooden, beautiful ship with all the big masts, like the sails on it. Except it wasn't in the water, it was flying above the water, about 100 feet or so. So it was hovering above the water. And I was on the ship with what felt like family or some sort of spirit guides. I didn't actually see them, but I'm looking down at the water about 100 feet below, and it's a stormy ocean. It's crazy. The waves are so wild and so intense. And it was as if they were saying, like, are you ready for this? And I knew inside myself, I had confidence that I could survive in this water. I could dive down, and I could swim and make it to the shore, that I would be okay. Even though it was going to be hard and a challenge, I knew I would be okay. So I drive into the water, and I swim through the ocean to the stormy currents. It was rough. And then I make it to shore, and they're there waiting for me. And though this was a dream I received, but it was from spirit guides, ETs, wherever you want to say they're calling from, they were ETs, but ET spirit guides that were showing me that this was a symbol for prior to coming to this life. Prior to coming to this life, you're about to go into this life. There's going to be a lot of challenges. It's going to be rough. This timing you're going to on earth that we're all here, it's going to be a challenge. But you know that you can make it. You can make it through. And all of us can make it through. We all took that leap to be here. So we can, no matter how turbulent life gets, just know that you can make it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come here. And so that's that dream. So thanks for bringing that up.
That always brings me hope. You know what I'm saying? Like when I heard that story, and I heard it through the spiritual shed. I forget the name of the podcast. I'm sorry, but it was a spiritual shed. I think it was. I felt it. Like I still feel it whenever you share that story. I feel it because I only have a couple minutes, but I believe that we choose when to come. You know how they say we choose our parents, even though as messed up as they were, we choose where we are born and the time. And I think the 70s was the best time for me to come. So I don't know. Maybe there was something to that.
Always
yeah.
is.
Right? I don't know.
Yep. And we all have support and guidance. And that was also part of that dream, is that even though they were still hovering above, they were there. And just knowing you had that support. Yeah. Call on them anytime. Yeah.
Okay, Tyrone. I don't want to take any more of your time. I think it's like past midnight over there. I don't even know.
Almost 1 a.m.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to take more of your time, but anytime you want to come back to the podcast, let me know. You know how to reach me too. And so thank you for coming, for sharing the story and the message and the dreams. And yeah, I don't know what they say in Indonesia. How did they say good night or good morning or?
Yeah. You could say Ratri Sawat.
Okay.
Good night. Yeah.
He said it better than I can.
Yeah, and if you're Thai, you probably said, "Oh, you just butchered it." But
exactly.
Thanks for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here, and thanks everyone for listening with an open mind and open heart.
Awesome. Okay, guys, you didn't see this coming, and I'll be back. I'll be back to doing podcasts. I'm taking a break, but Tyrone asked me to do this, so I had to say yes. So, and I'm glad I did.
We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Hit the record button.
That's swell.
It's a low